everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unlocked. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. And as you can see, I have got one of my favourite people in the whole wide world here with me today, my good friend, Vickie Helm. And you're probably wondering, well, why the heck have you got Vickie on here again? She seems to be appearing on the show fairly regularly. And that would be true because I absolutely love having her on here. We have some great discussions and some really cool stuff when Vickie and I get together, which is kind of cool. And we love to be able to do that and unlock various different aspects of business and family and life. But what are we here to talk about today? Well, for some of you guys, you've probably been thinking at some point in your life, one day I would like to write a book, or someday I will get around to writing my book. And you might be thinking to yourself, is the time, the effort, the research and the expense all really worth it? Because it just feels way too hard, and so therefore you put it on the back burner. So because Vickie is a veteran of this space, she's been writing books for, I'm going to say, over 3 decades now, with 39 books and counting under her belt. It seemed like it's a no-brainer to have someone like Vic on the show talking about writing books. For most of you guys, if you've been following me for a little while, you will know that earlier in the year, Vickie and we released the book called The She Myth. And without her help, I certainly wouldn't have been able to get that book to the shelves and to a #1 best-selling spot on Amazon in a I'm talking within 24 hours, we were able to do that. So I was like, Vic, you know what? You have never, ever gone out and actually shown people what you do and how you do it. And a lot of people don't want to do that because they're unlocking all of their secrets and giving away, all of the how-tos to do stuff. And I'm like, Vic, it's like people need to get this information out. Many, many people are sitting on awesome books, awesome ideas that need to be shared. Please, can we sometime actually get this information out there? And, I'm going to say super overdue, but finally Vickie is like, yeah, it's time. Let's do this. Let's get this information out there. And she's got a workshop coming up very, very shortly. In fact, I say shortly, as in
it's tomorrow, actually. Yeah,
as in tomorrow, where she's going to be unlocking some of the secrets behind how she's managed to write the number of books that she writes and how she does it so, I'm going to say, so freaking effortlessly in the time frame that she does it in. So she's going to be sharing some of that in the workshop. We'll tell you a little bit more about that throughout today's show. But I really wanted to get her on here today so that we can kind of unlock some of the I'm going to say, scratch the surface of what's inside of her brain around being able to get a book out there. And let's kind of talk firstly, Vic, I want to kind of go back firstly. Why did you even start writing books? Because I know that you and I have talked about this before, and I've seen you write about this, that you even thought that it was really impossible for you to write a book because you even have said, I've read some stuff where you've said, I don't think I could do it because I was a really terrible speller. I wasn't good at English, rah, and therefore I thought I couldn't do it. So what changed all of that, and why did you decide to write your first book, and why have you continued to write books and now at kind of 39 and counting?
Well, thank you. First off, thank you for having me on Unlocked, and you are one of my favorite people as well, and I'm really glad to be back. And I really want to deliver a lot today because you said, as we started, a lot of people want to write their book. And just in the United States, 81% of the people want to write their book. That's over 200 million people in the US. And a lot of people step up and they're like, I wrote my book. Great. Write another. So here's the thing. I feel like it's 81% of the world that wants to write a book. So, it's interesting because my degree is in accounting and finance, and I never thought ever that I would write a book. Now, I want to tell you of my shameful embarrassment right now. I'm going to just get really raw and really real with everyone. When I first started to write my book, there was a couple of things I didn't know, and I was too ashamed or too embarrassed to ask people for help. One is I didn't know how to use Word. And back at that time, Word was the thing that you used to write books with, and I didn't know how to use it. And I didn't know where spell check was. I knew nothing about nothing. In fact, it was so bad. I remember my editor coming up to me while I was writing, and she leaned over and she whispered in my ear. She said, "I'm going to show you how to use spell check. And if you don't use it, I quit." And I was like, okay, this person. And when I got the manuscript back, it had red marks everywhere and spelling. She was like, "I can't work like this." So number one thing, you don't have to be a good speller. Number two thing, you may have to ask for some help using the software, but you can suck and still learn to become a really great author because of the technology that exists right now. So why did I start writing books? That was the thing. I didn't think I was going to write books with an S. I just wrote one book on a particular topic that was super specific. And I kind of felt guided to write a book in that industry because there wasn't one back at that time. So I didn't know that was going to lead to another book, which was going to lead to another. And I know a lot of people are impressed that you're like 39 books, but I look at Joe Vitale and I think he's got like 85 nonfiction books. So, and if you take a look at Patterson, or what's that guy, the guy that did The Shining, Stephen King. I mean, Stephen King. Hundreds of books. 39 for an author is not, it's constantly producing a book on a topic, on a subject. The thing that helps me write books, though, I want to share with your readers, if I may. The thing that really helps readers is knowing who they are as a writer. So, for instance, Stephen King, everyone knows everyone. He's so well branded around the world. We know Stephen King writes about stuff that scares us. And if we want to read something suspenseful and scary, Stephen King's your dude. And if you want to read something funny, you know who the funny writers are. But as an author, you know the romance writers, you know the sci-fi and mystery writers. Who are you as an author? And I do nonfiction. That's definitely my gig.
Which is a really interesting thing, Vic, because like you said, you started out, you just wanted to get one book out, and then all of a sudden it kind of just, you got, I suppose you get the bug, right? You get a bit good at it, and you're like, oh, I could do this again and again and again and again. And the more you do, the more au fait you become with the process. You become, really good at this, at systemizing things. And one would say, as I've watched you over the last couple of years, us working together on the She Myth, and then seeing you write a number of books since then, it's like there's a very dialed in system and a process to all of this. And I think is a really fascinating thing to watch you do, and the speed in which you do it, because you have that system and process. For somebody who's like, for those guys that are out there and maybe they're trying to write their very first book, what would be maybe 3 pieces of advice that you would give somebody that's sitting on an idea or a concept? In fact, actually, I want to ask the audience this. So for those of you that are watching right now, what I want you to do is in the chat, in Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, just chat to us. Make sure that you let StreamYard know that you're here so that we can actually see your comments as they come through. But just let us know, have you already written a book? So if you've written a book already, let us know. Maybe even tell us what the title is. And if you haven't, but you've been thinking about it, what's one thing that's been stopping you from writing a book? And let's just, given that so guys, I want you to do that. So tell me, have you already written a book? And this is your opportunity to do a promo for yourself. Tell me what the name of your book is. And secondly, if you haven't written one, Have you got one inside of you that you want to unlock and you want you want to get it out? But what is the one thing that's stopping you from doing that? So let us know that. So Vic, my question to you is, given that you've not only written books yourself, but I know you've helped many, many people write their own book. What are some of the things that you see that are the biggest obstacles that actually stop people from getting the information out of their head and putting pen to paper, so to speak? What are some of the things that prevent them?
Yeah. The number one thing, and I run into it with every client. I mean, it doesn't matter what client comes in, every client has an inner critic. And the inner critic is the first thing you're going to run into, which is I'm not good enough. It's not this, it's not that. What a crap, blah, blah, blah. They get done with a chapter, or they get halfway done with a chapter, and they look at it and they're like, oh, this is crap. And then they just stop, or they write half a chapter and they don't know where to go with the next part of the chapter. So they just freeze in their stuckness. And their inner critic is that part of them that just keeps saying to them, well, you're not good at this, you should give up, blah, blah, blah. And they avoid their book instead of stay with that obstacle. And the truth is that one obstacle, that right there, that inner critic, is the reason that block has been there. It's not just the book that it's blocked. It's your wealth that it's blocked. It's your relationships that it's blocked. It's your health that it's blocked. Everything is blocked by that inner critic. It's that one thing. The second thing is people who get halfway done. They get halfway done with a book and they're not sure where to go. Like they had the first idea for the book done, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll get that first part of that book done. And then they don't know where to take the reader or how to do it. And then the third thing is they give too much. And what happens is people don't realize you can overwhelm the reader with information. It's like, first you do this and this and this and this and this and then this and then this and then this, then implement this and keep going and do this and this and this and this and this. It can be too much in one book. And they try to cram it into that, 300, 500, 800. And unless it's Harry Potter, 800 pages is in a nonfiction book is not great. And so there's a method to your madness. Nonfiction people that are writers, they forget to be storytellers as well. They're like, this is how you do this, this. And they think everybody wants the how to. But they want some resolve with that inner critic or the hard part. So those three things are: one, you have to manage your inner critic. Number two, you have to know where you want to take your client. See, writing a book is a success path. It's not just a path, it's a success path from start to finish. You're taking them from here, and when they read it, by the end of it, they're going to have what? What are they going to have? And so you want to outline what they're going to have or what they're going to need to have for that. And then the third thing is absolutely you want to make sure that you're not overwhelming them. If this should be a 2-volume, here's part 1, or book 1 or book 2, then have it be book 1 or 2. Don't overwhelm them. Like, I got to be honest, this is one of the cool things. When we wrote the She Myth together, I had to be really careful because towards the end of that book, we were like, okay, that's enough. We've given them enough for this book. And then when we did the final read, I remember this distinctly. You were like, Vic, there's a chapter missing. And I was like, what? And when you read it, you're able to see the flow of where we are taking the client from on the success path from here to here. And when it wasn't there, you were like this, and it was way early in the book. So just as it was going to press, we slid in that other chapter. And I think that one thing is really the key thing of why it was number 1 in 2 countries in 24 hours. And, when it's really well written, there's all kinds of things that can happen for it.
What's absolutely, I remember us doing that too, like in the editing phase, and I'm like, hang on, we need to there's this particular part and it needs to go in here. There's a segue missing here.
And everybody agreed with you. I was like, really? And the publisher was like, yeah, I agree with her. It needs to go in there. So we burn the midnight oil doing that chapter.
We certainly did, but I'm glad that we did it because it made,
Me too.
it certainly made for good reading. But one of the things like you mentioned here is like you do nonfiction, right? And a lot of our audience that are that are entrepreneurs, that are expertpreneurs, they know a thing or two about their particular subject matter. The natural tendency would be to write like a how-to type book. But you
Nonfiction.
mentioned here that it's really important that we recognize and we understand that even though you're wanting to write some form of how-to type type material, that you also need to be a storyteller. So let's talk a little bit more about that, the storytelling piece, because I think that's the part that you do brilliantly in terms of being able to weave in to the that there's actually not like you would in fiction, there's a storyline. And Vickie has just mentioned, we were taking people on a journey, there's a success path, but weaved throughout that success pathway is the story that enables people to be involved, embedded, immersed into the content. So let's talk about the storytelling piece and why is that important, and what are some of the tips that you can do to even start the creative juices flowing around some of the storyline.
Well, first off, this is singularly, if you get this right, here's the data in the world for nonfiction books, because nonfiction books are arguably one of they're a very competitive industry. And what happens is there's a certain way a nonfiction reader reads. And that is that if you are not compelling in the first 3 chapters, like in a nonfiction book, people are very intellectual. If you don't grab them or hook them, they're on to the next book. Their object is to learn something, know something, have a deeper experience. And they're avid readers. They're not, they're avid readers. So if they've ordered 1 book, they've ordered 2 or 3 others. And the thing is, if you do not hook them within the first 18 pages, they will usually put the book down. The average data says that they put the book down and they're on to the next book. So I'm going to give you this right now so that you understand this. And if you read any one of my books, including the She-Myth, which is right there, if you look at that book and you read it, you'll see that we started with the story of why you wrote the book, and the why you wanted to, what's in it for them, why you wanted to help them, what you want to share with them. So for instance, in the She-Myth, we started with the story of how you were a teen mom and all the difficulties of that and how hard you had to work and how you had to get on your bike every day and strap your baby to your bike, not even a car, a bike could take the baby to daycare, and how you worked in the evenings. And the thing that you came over made you relatable. So the reason you have the introduction, and maybe you have the foreword too, because we have a foreword in our book. And in those, the foreword, the introduction, and chapter 1, those are the areas where you create the relationship with your reader. If you create the relationship with your reader, then they understand your intention. Then it matches their intention when they both subtly see that. So one of the most important things you can do in that first part is, if you have a foreword, somebody's going to be telling a story and ingratiating you. Then in the introduction, you want to tell them the painful story of why you wrote this book. So the reason why you wrote this book was super clear. You don't want your granddaughter to go through what you went through. And it was so evident right there, made my hair stand up. And, your dedication to the book is to your granddaughter as well. And your granddaughter read that book cover to cover, and she took pictures of her favorite pages. I mean,
she did.
What is she, 7 or 8 or something, like 8 years old, and she did that. So, I mean, there's that legacy piece of work that you do. When people read it, all we heard back from them was, I was a teen mom. Finally, these overachieving women had a platform and somebody to talk to because they could relate to you. That is the number one thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is you want to start in that next chapter, which would be chapter 1 and chapter 2. You want to start seeding what's in it for them. So not just, if you read this book, you're going to be smart and feel better. What's really in it for them to read your book? One, it doesn't matter. People don't necessarily want to have more knowledge. They want to have more connection. And here's the thing. When you write, you want to write in a persuasive way. And what I mean is stop telling them what you know and tell them how much you understand them, your reader. Mm-hmm. This is how much I understand you. I understand that we went there. The next thing that we did all the way through there that really anchored the book for us was we do case studies on examples. Case studies help people connect with your message and connect with others. So we took some of the biggest women in the industry and we highlighted them inside the book. We highlighted them in that book and we highlighted what they did so that other people related to that. And that relating, once you have that, I'm emotionally attached to the words you're saying, they are now ready to listen to your knowledge base. And I want you to think about this because it's actually the opposite, the actual opposite. It's not what you know that makes them read the book. It's how you connect with them, the why. That's when they're ready. Once they know your why and your intention and what's in it for them and all this emotional connection with it, now they're ready to listen to your knowledge base. They're not ready before that. And oftentimes nonfiction writers are like, here, let me tell you how to do this. Chapter 1 is step 1. Chapter 2 is step 2. Chapter 3 is step 4 or step 3. And that can be boring over a period of time. And the more connection you have, the more readers you're going to have. Yeah,
absolutely. So to summarize that up, it's really like all of that you've spoken about now is creating that anchor or the foundation of what it is that you're doing. And a lot of the stuff sort of before you even pick up a pen and paper and you start, writing the chapters and the content of the book, you're thinking about all of these things before you even do that. What type of writer am I going to be? What do I want to be known for? What is my intention with this book? How am I, what are my points of connection, and how do I create stories within that book that are relatable so that the audience feels a sense of that's me. It's almost as if they're superimposing themselves into the story and becoming that character. And when we're able to, when you're able to do that really, really well, like Vickie does, we call it, dragging the person through the story, allowing them to follow you through the book and allow them to want to turn each page. And not just put the book down and move on to the next one. I know there's a number of questions, Vic, and I know as you've launched the workshop that you're doing, which really goes deep into. I mean, most people would think, well, she's going to tell me, how many pages should it be, and like all of the regular, questions that people would have, and we'll answer some of those today. But really what I think you're, because I've lucky enough to be privy to some of the information that's in the workshop that's coming up. It's quite different to what most people would think that workshop would be about. And when I looked at that, I was like, oh, this is really powerful because it actually teaches people some fundamental things that they must understand, that not only allows them to write their first book, but it actually sets them up, like going back to this foundational piece, it actually sets them up that they then can write one book, 2 books, 3 books, 39 books if they so wish to, when they get the foundational concepts and strategy right. So before we get to the point of just giving everybody a bit of a insight into what they can expect in the upcoming workshop, let's answer some of those really common questions, those questions that you would
Sure,
get regularly.
sure.
So let's go down the path of, I'm just looking at some of the questions actually that you get regularly. So what have we got here? Well, somebody's asking, how many pages or words should be in my book? If I'm writing a non-fiction type of book, how many pages should it be? What's the norm?
Well, it's interesting because they have certain types of books, like an airplane book. And an airplane book is a book that you can finish. That is, if you flew from California to New York in the United States, that'd be about 3.5, 4 hours, depending on wind. And you should be able to finish that book in 3 to 4 hours or 3.5 hours. They're called airplane books. And there are a lot of books that are, I would say 120 to 150 pages, but they look bigger because they make them in a smaller size, such as this, which right here is Fred Pacimo's new book. And it's about a 5x11 is what I think it is right here, instead of the 6x9s. If it's 6x9, then it's thinner. And so what happens is you want to make it like our book is an airplane book as well, but they made it in that 5. And so they can finish it across the thing. That's really there for nonfiction readers. Now, nonfiction readers, they like, I think the biggest a book should be, in my opinion, is no more than 230 words, 240 max. There are some instances.
Pages, right?
Pages. Yeah. And there are some instances, like if they're tech books and things like that, where they're bigger, or law books. Law books are reference manuals, where there are 300-400 pages. But essentially, depending on your topic, you want to just say enough to get your message across. You don't want to try to condense your message, but if you're working with good editors, they know how to slice your words up and take them out. And, we worked with good editors. So yeah, then if it's a fiction and I want to go back to something you said earlier before you got this, because I think this is so important. Books that are done in a series, like here's book 1, book 2, book 3. And my favorite example of that is the Russell Brunson's Secrets books series, the .com secrets, expert secrets, traffic secrets. He could have put all the books in one book, but he put them now into 4 or 5 different books that are out there. And when he did the Secrets series, what he did was like, here's the first part, here's the second part, here's the third part. Readers, nonfiction readers, love that. Once they fall in love with you, they want your next book. Look at Grant Cardone. Look at Gary Vee. I mean, he gets up and their books are out over and over and over again. That, what is that? Jab, 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 hook. And then, that 10X thing over and over. They're waiting for that next book. They want to be led by you. Here's the thing. Book writing is about mentorship. It's not about, boy, I hope I get my message across. When you complete a book and you put it out there, you move from being an expert to a mentor. And there's a vast price difference between being an expert and a mentor. A mentor is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, 200,000 to work with a mentor. An expert, you get from the, 5,000 to the maybe 20,000 or whatever. But when you cross that bridge, the second you put your next book out, you're anchoring yourself as a mentor. You're not an expert. You're at a mentor place. And those things that you work towards when you start writing your book is don't overwhelm them. To me, the best thing Russell did was they see him as a mentor. He went from being an expert to a mentor, and now he mentors thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the, .com secrets or the ClickFunnels way, the methodology that he's teaching. And that is very significant, a piece of the mentor expert thing.
And I think going back to what you were talking about right at the beginning, which is around, your intention or knowing what sort of author you want to be. And, using Russell as that case study, he clearly wanted to be an author and a mentor that helps people develop their online businesses in the digital space. And the great thing, and being part of Russell's world for some time, I was lucky enough, and I know you were too, to be able to actually see these books unfold in almost like in real time. So the interesting thing was that because and I don't know that he started out that way intentionally. It just happened to unfold in that way. He started out with .com secrets, and I think he twigged on that. Okay, well, I've got a container. Let's call it a container or a type of book that I could write with the secrets. That then he started teaching more stuff. He was like, okay, well, now I should actually teach experts, and that became expert secrets. And now as part of what I teach, I also now teach people the traffic side of things. So then came traffic secrets, and I don't think he is knowing Russell, he is not finished yet. But I think the beautiful thing about that, it just goes to show that what you were talking about at the beginning, when you understand what type of author you want to be, that sets your foundation up as solidly so that you're able to continue to write in that same genre or in that same vein over and over and over again, like a Stephen King, like a what's her name that wrote the Harry Potter series? What's her name?
J.K. Rowling.
Thank you, J.K. Rowling. Her name just escaped me. So yeah, J.K. Rowling. They know exactly the market that they are trying to appeal to. They know their audience. They know their intention, and therefore they can continue to write along that similar vein. Yeah. I know in your upcoming workshop you're going to be diving, deep on that, and you've got a very specific method which we're not going to uncover right now, because if you want to learn that, I would highly recommend you actually join Vickie's workshop, because she will specifically teach you how to do that, how to come up with your, what is your concept, what is the thing that is going to create the foundation for you as an author that will not only allow you to write one book, but allow you to write many books, if you so wish to, over time. So Vic, I want to sort of wrap up today, but with uncovering or giving people a little bit of what they might come to expect when they join you on the upcoming workshop. And I'm going to get Robin to just pop into the comments at the moment just what the link is. So if you're interested in learning more about how to write a book, what the process is, and what are some of the fundamental things that you need to understand and learn right from the get-go, and you get to learn from somebody who's as experienced as Vickie Helm, that you're able to click that link and then be able to join the workshop. And I'm pretty sure the pricing on that, Vickie, is $47, right? If they want to join, you can join for $47.
And it's going to go up in price later, so it's super, super inexpensive right now.
Yep, absolutely. So if you want to learn this from somebody who knows, who knows what the heck they're talking about when it comes to writing books, you want to get on that workshop, because not only will you get to learn that stuff, what else do they get? What are some of the things that they can expect when they're on the workshop with you, Vickie? Because it's not like a webinar, right? It's not just like a regular webinar.
It's a live,
Well, what can they expect?
It's interesting. You're going to get the whole story, but here's what I want to say. There is a process for writing a book. Now, you can pretty much go to any course or 7 days, here's how to whip out a book, here's how to do this, here's how to do that. But in the here's how to do that, the question is, what do you want your book to do at the end? Do you just want to go, oh my God, I wrote a book, I hope it works? Or do you want in 24 hours later to do what we did, which is we were the #1 book in 2 countries in 24 hours, not just, that one time. Some of my clients, we literally had her #1 in 3 categories in less than 1 hour. It was 40 minutes and she had been #1 and she stayed #1 too. It wasn't like a flash in the pan at that point. And one of the things that is there that you're going to learn that I think is super important is, who are you as an author? And how do you know who you are as an author? And what is it that's your message? You see, that's the whole point. Even if you're writing about spirituality, self-development, gardening, cooking, whatever you want to write about, whatever's inside of you, underneath that, there is a kind of what we call a nutshell message. This is who I am as an author. This is what I'm about. This is what I write about. And you're going to learn some of the secrets to writing 5 times faster than anyone else. You're going to learn some of the secrets of what the market's like and how to find that niche. There's so many things you're going to be able to do when you're done. But more than that, you're going to have a little more clarity of who your audience is, what you're about as a writer, who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, and how to go ahead and take that story. Like, if you get some of the secrets, just one of the secrets today that I shared with you correctly, which is that here's how to write your first, second, third chapter. You want to make sure you're kind of leading your client through that book. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, your sales, you'll double your sales, you'll double your reviews, everything else. You're going to learn how to do that inside of this workshop. And we're going to, you're going to get to know me. I pull the curtains back and show everything. And I got to tell you, Tracy, I have been writing books for a long time, and I've never once decided to share this until now. Like, it's never been out in the public. I've been just using this and doing my thing for years. And I've never thought, well, I should teach this. I've never thought that ever. I just produce the books because that's what I do. And for me, this is this one time where we're going to be sharing that out there because that way there are more successful people. And right now is the perfect time to write your book. Right now, your message is needed more than anything.
Vic, I actually want to, there's so many things because I've like I said, I had the privy of seeing the workshop and attending it, and attending in the preview. I get to sort of see some of that stuff and give feedback on it. So I know that there's some really, really fundamental things that you share in that. I want to talk about, the benefits of writing your book. So a lot of people might be thinking, like, especially those that are the ones that are sitting on the fence, like you said, right at the beginning of this, 81% of people in America alone would say, I would love to write a book. I would like to write a book. But for whatever reason, they just don't get it done. So I want to help as many people as we can to actually put their knowledge, their information, their story into words and into a book. And I can only speak from my own personal experience of, like Vickie has alluded to the fact that I've shared with her my granddaughter. When I was writing the book, I had her firmly in my mind as to what do I want to share with her? What did I want to tell her? What do I not only want to tell her, but, my future other granddaughters or her children and so on and so forth. So one, for me, legacy is really big, and being able to share that with my family is really, really important to me. Less so is the fact that, hey, doing it just because you want to be a best-selling author. That certainly wasn't on my radar, wasn't one of my intention or the thing that I wanted to do. But I would say it's been a fantastic byproduct of actually writing the book. That's been amazing. So being able to now say that I'm a published author, but not only just a published author, a best-selling author is amazing.
International best-selling
author. So as far as that's concerned, all I can say is that from a credibility point of view, it has definitely increased my level of expertise, credibility, and your ability to be able to increase your prices in alignment with that. Because like you say, there's a massive shift that happens. You move from being, an expert or a specialist in something to now being being a mentor. So that's one of the things. The other is that, you see
and this is, I want to emphasize that
Mhm.
Experts read books, mentors write books. And that's the big defining line right there. Yeah.
Isn't that so? I want that to sink in, guys. So if you're an expert right now, meaning that you know your stuff, you know what you're talking about. If you're an expert right now and you want to shift from just being somebody who is a consumer of information to somebody who is actually a creator of information, this is the way to do it. Because once you've got it once you've got it like that, a book in your hot little hand that's got, your material, your IP, your information inside of it, there is something extremely powerful about that. The other point I want to make is that, like, how does that relate from a business perspective, Vickie? Like having a book, like, so what? How does that turn into? I mean,
Lots of money.
I can only speak from my own experience, but how does that turn into dollars?
Yeah, thank you. And there's a couple of things I want to say. First off, your book doesn't have to be a big book. Like, Alex Sharfin's book, The Entrepreneur Identifier. Do you?
I do.
And
this one.
Yes. Look how thin that is. And Wendy Schenkel has the. Do you have that one as well somewhere? The purse strings effect. Do you have it over there? The purse strings effect.
I have an ebook copy.
Thank you. The purse strings effect. That book is powerful, powerful, powerful. And it's the same with Alex Sharfin's book. The content doesn't have to be meaty. It has to be powerful and connective. And both of those books, which is the purse strings effect by Wendy Schenkel, and this
EPT.
Alex Sharp, yes, EPT, which is the entrepreneurial personality type, very strong books, and they don't need that. Now, the second thing is, I'm both old school and new school. So I was writing books back when Amazon, I remember them asking me if I'd please write books for their ebook library. And it was big and new, and they wanted to capture all the authors and have them write over there for them. And at that library point, they were only giving out paperbacks. So I've been writing a really, really long time. And the book will get you on more stages, in front of more crowds, in front of everything, to say your message. And I have been on stage I was on book tour with Brandon Bays when she had the #1 book in the world. And she was on with The Journey, and I was there with her. Also, I have been, I opened for Eckhart Tolle at the London MES. I have been privy to being in front of some of the biggest industry people on stages speaking, just because I've authored a book. And the second thing that it has done for me is online, I've been able to transfer this into an online business, etc., that has my book working for me while I'm sleeping. And there's this whole thing. I'm trying to give you the quickie dry version. But selling from stage, I think my record is I was on stage for 20 minutes and we sold $8,000 in 20 minutes or something like that. But then you can make a lot of money day to day, week to week with that. There's so many ways to do that. But the thing that's so important for you to understand, and I'm going to say this over and over and over, experts read books, mentors write books. So when you become a mentor and you write a book, and you write a really good book, and it gets out there and starts getting reviews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, everyone on the planet, everyone knows how hard it is to write a book. Everybody's been like, even writing a report for school, when you read the book and you're doing a book report, everyone knows how hard that is. When you become a mentor and you get through that piece of writing that book, you have shifted. And one of the things that is a mistake for most people is they try to go ahead back into their expert status with the book they've just launched or written, when they really become a mentor. And a mentor, their business structure is vastly different than the expert strategy is. And those two things, if you get nothing else today, know that when you write a book, you become a mentor. And a mentor has fans that'll read the next book, the next book, the next book.
Absolutely. There's definitely a transformation that takes place without without you necessarily even intending that to happen, but it certainly does. So Vic, I want to just I just want to put this back up on the screen again. So guys, if you are interested in, well, in fact, I'm just going to say, if you are
no
like
brainer.
81% of the other, the people that are out there in this world that are saying, I'd like to write a book one day, someday, somehow. This is the lifeline that you need, that's going to get you, the prod that's going to say, here you go, here's how you do it, and here's how you can do it simply by using Vickie's steps and her methods and her formulas to help you to actually take that book out of your head and become the published author that you desire to be. There's no two ways about it. I don't know how else you can put that. It's like, finally, like she said, it's taken 30 years for her to get to the point where she's prepared, willing, able to share all of this knowledge, and it's happening now. She also mentioned that now is the best time. Now is the best time to actually get and write a book. With everything that's going on in the world, now is the right time. Why do you say that, Vic? Why do you feel that now is the right time to do this?
Brilliant. That's a great question. So when I see an expert graduating from expert to mentor status, here's what I know. I know the world is going through this huge transformation, and it feels unstable. It feels unfamiliar, and it may feel dangerous, although it may not be dangerous. And people are out there right now looking for answers. And sometimes that answer needs to be practical. Sometimes it needs to be emotional. Sometimes it needs to be spiritual. And sage advice, whether it's how-to sage advice, practical sage advice, personal development sage advice, it is the time for that to be out there. There's also some sense of new reality happening. Like those younger people, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. You can always write books. Always. It is a recession-proof business. It is a pandemic-proof business. I mean, we even talked about releasing ours in that time of the pandemic, and we were like, should we, shouldn't we? And we went for it anyway. And I have found out that it is pandemic-proof. But what happens is, when you want to know something, let's say you're curious about Bitcoin, do you read one book or do you read 3 or 4? And so a lot of people are like, I want this book, this book, this book, this book. I know that I read 2-3 books a month. And so this is the time where your message, no matter, the issue is whether you think your message is important or not. But sometimes the difference between somebody committing suicide and somebody not committing suicide isn't what you know. It's showing them that you care. It's giving them another thought. So maybe the thing about them throwing a towel in, or maybe whatever it is that you're sharing with them, is that one thing. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It has to be a heart thing, a touch of mind thing, that thing that you have that's hidden inside you, that is poking you in the chest right now, that says, and I'm going to call you out because I've felt this, and I know you're out there watching this, feeling it too. You have always known that you were supposed to do something great in the world. You've always known that there was something in you that was supposed to help or impact another or make a difference in the world. There's always been something now, about now's time, this awakening time in the world, where you were supposed to be part of the team that helped bring in this new. And now's your time. Now's the time that this book thing is talking from one to many. You can't talk one-to-one to one-to-one to one-to-one to one. And no matter how many doors you knock on, nobody's answering them right now. If you want to have a voice, the pen is always mightier than the sword. I know we're using video now. We have podcasts. Guess what? We had radio and television, and the pen is still mightier than the sword. And that is you. Bring that out. Your message is now. We need you now.
Powerful, powerful message. And I know, like I was saying, Vickie's saying, you know, you who's watching today, who might be listening to this on a podcast, if you are somebody, she's actually poking the bear at the moment and saying, you know, here's the opportunity, here's the lifeline, here's what you need to do. Come on, and she'll show you how to do it. So again, where do they go? They go to freedomseekersway.com/purpose to published /workshop. So just that again, Freedom Seekers, and it's Seekers, SEEKHERS way, WAY.com/purpose to published /workshop. So if you head on over there, you'll be able to register for the workshop, get in there. You need to do it today, because as we mentioned earlier on the show, the live version of this is going live tomorrow. You will be put into a private group, which also gives you the opportunity to ask Vickie questions. So if you go through the workshop and you're like, still got a question about whatever it is, then Vic will be there to answer those questions for you. And you certainly are not going to be able to get her advice, expertise at $47, you know, specifically,
right. This is it.
You know, in the future, because I'm telling you, you know, like she said, she's shifted from being the expert to being the mentor, and you can expect to pay thousands of dollars if you were going to ask her questions like that. So make sure that you head on over, you register yourself, you get on that workshop, and you'll have a great opportunity to learn from one of the experts in this world, who knows her stuff when it comes to publishing and writing books, and you'll also get an opportunity to be up close and a little bit, I say personal with Vickie, but actually be able to ask her some questions so that you get your specific questions answered. So that is happening tomorrow. Let's give everybody the time.
Yeah.
So you've only got a very short window of opportunity to register for that. Not sure when it's going to be back again. And like she said a little bit earlier, it's pretty unlikely that it's going to be back at the price that it's at right now. You could expect to pay a lot more than you'll be for tomorrow. So where and when, Vic? So you head on over there, you register. What time is the actual live workshop on?
That's a good question. I think it's like, I'm not sure if it was, you know, what time zone, if it was Eastern time, 5 o'clock or what. Robin, can you do me a favor and, you know, put that in there? Look at us. We're like, they just tell me when to be there.
We should totally know this, right, people? So let me see if I can find, hang on a minute. Here we go. So it is on 25th of August, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 12 p.m. Pacific Time. So there you go, guys. So tomorrow, 1 p.m. MST, 3 p.m. EST. So that will be the time that the live workshop's on. One question people are going to have is, I'm in Australia, because I've had this a lot. Hey, I've heard that your friend is doing this workshop. I'd like to join. What time is it? And when I've told them the time, they're like, oh my God, that's the middle of the night for me here in Australia. How do we cater for those people that are in other time zones that perhaps can't make it live?
We have a few registrants that are in Dubai as well. And so when you're in the private group there, the video will just be there and you can watch it from there, and it'll still be there afterwards. So that'll go. And I don't know if we're going to do it again after that, but I know after a certain while, we're going to pull that video down and it's going to be gone. So, you know, we'll have it there for at least a week, and whatever time zone you are in the world, you'll have access to it, and it'll be when you want to watch it. But there's, you know, yesterday, 61 people were like, hey, what about me? What about me? So I don't know how many spots are left. I definitely am looking forward to seeing everybody there. And it is at freedomseekersway.com, purpose to publish workshop. Now I want to talk about Freedom Seekers. Freedom is spelled correctly. Seekers is SEEK. H is in Harry, E is in Edward, R is in Robert, hers with an S at the end, way.com. And yes, if you're thinking about this and you want to make a change in your life and actually really want to write a book that matters, I'd invite you to go there and register right now. Thank you for letting me do my, 2-minute spiel there.
No, you're right. You're welcome. I mean, when I knew you were going to be doing this, I'm like, man, I've got to schedule you in on a show because I need to make sure that I share this with our audience and make sure that they have an opportunity to join the workshop too. So I just wanted to reiterate that if you are, because there's a lot of people in Australia and in New Zealand that are that watch the Unlock show, I want to let you guys know that if you do join and you're unable to make it because it's in the middle of the night for us, not a problem. As Vickie just said, it'll be recorded. You will still have access to the recording. And what if they still have questions? What do they do then? So if they watch the recording, they can't go live. They've got a question.
Yeah, you can write questions in the Facebook group and I'll get to them. Now, don't give me your manuscript and say, will you go over this and give me some feedback, or just questions about the workshop. That's what we're going to be doing. This isn't like carte blanche. I have an idea for this. What do you think of that? This is any kind of consulting that you want me to do. I'll send you a private link with an invoice on it if you want to, if you want us to talk. But if you have anything you want to know about the workshop, glad to help you there.
Absolutely. So like she said, you can ask questions related to the workshop right there inside of that private Facebook group. All right, Vic, well, I'm going to say thank you very much. But if anybody else has got any other questions, you know how we roll here at the Unlock Show. All you've got to do is just type them into the chat area. I'll make sure that we tag Vickie in on any questions that you've got, and we'll make sure that we get them answered. But just that link again. So www.freedomseekersway.com/purpose to published /workshop. It's right there on the screen for you to be able to click. It's in the comments section if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or even on the podcast, and you'll be able to register. If you are listening to this and the workshop has already been, still click the link because you just never know. There may be a waiting list there. I might be able to twist her arm. Don't know whether she'll do it again. I'm not sure, but click the link and you just might. You never know. You might see that she's doing a different workshop that might be relevant and useful for you too. So anyway, that being said, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for watching today's Unlock Show. I'm going to be back. So at the moment, throughout the I'm going to say the summer break or the summer season in America, the Unlock Show is just being run on a Wednesday at the moment. We'll be back to our normal Wednesday and Friday schedule in October. We will be having guests on Wednesdays, and then you'll have me again doing some more how-to and giving away some stuff on Fridays. So just keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. But again, I'll be back again with another live episode with another amazing guest on the Unlock Show next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Brisbane, Australia time. So thanks again, Vic. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge on today's show. And I hope that, people take you up on your offer and really get in there and learn, because you too can be like me and, have your very first book written and in your hot little hands, by just the other side of Christmas if you get a wriggle on. All right, guys, thanks very much, and I'll see you again next Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. Right. Bye for now.